back. Episode 56 of the Legends and Dragons podcast here in Hearst, Texas, here from the mothership, as we may. The mothership. Legends Lair. The mothership has landed. The mothership here. Did I ever tell you that, you know what, P-Funk, Parliament Funkadelic? It's an old setting. Yes. Yeah, when I was 17, I saw them at McFarland Auditorium. And they used to say when you would go see them in concert, the mothership would land. And it was life-changing.
Yeah, that's what they're called.
There's more to that story, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Podcast. It's something that maybe a piss test wouldn't have.
Nope. Come on, that's Chance Burleson.
It's Jimmy Clapp.
This is Chance's last one.
It is.
Well, I say last one. This is the last worthless evening that you guys will have to spend with me. But what I'm going to do, I've decided, is that as I step back from the podcast, and His Majesty Phillip Bulloch III steps in my place, which, to be honest, I stand in the shadow of Phillip. But what I've decided to do is I'm going to change my role. All right. And I am going to be what's it called? What's it called when somebody goes on threads and like starts trouble, like a U? There's a name for it. What's it called where they do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is that what you're going to do?
Like a heckler, like a social media hacker.
You are.
Hey, listen, don't worry. That Chance is going to be gone. But
his office.
I'm right there.
Here to my right, your left. That's watching it. So
yeah,
he'll pop in.
Chance is, and rightfully so, the school is growing, and I love seeing it, man. So Chance is going to take this opportunity to focus on the school while Phillip, a better co-host in my opinion.
He's far better.
Will be joining us starting next week, and he has better ink. He does. He really has better ink.
He's getting at his new tat. The Henzo.
Yeah.
The product's gonna look so good, man.
Well, and I think honestly, that I should only be replaced. I think that I should only be replaced. We should select from a pool of people, and only someone who can beat my ass should take my place on the podcast. So, and I was, dude, I was so, remember the podcast where I talked about the only shot I would have if he ever turned to the dark side would be with a blade.
Yes.
And then I found out that he's like he's like SOTA certified and instructor. Dude, I didn't even have that.
No, man. Phillip is going to be a phenomenal. I mean, he is so excited. And I don't know if I should say this on the podcast since it's not really about, I can't wait to hear it. Well, but Peter Carroll, shout out to Peter Carroll, reached out to me and was like, hey, do you guys have a website? Oh, yeah, yeah. And I said, no. So he is creating a website with all the episodes. I mean, it'll link to all the shows, I'm sure. But here's my idea. Buckle up, everyone. My ideas work 60% of the time, all the time.
Right.
That bit's a real pain. I've bits of it to link the Legends website and the Henzo website. So if people want to buy gear.
Oh, 100%.
Rash buy. It's over and told me. Because, Phillip and I were talking, and I told him the same thing that I told you was, if we make money out of this cool thing, all right, cool. Well, we're just doing it for fun.
Mm.
And dude, and Phil was like, yeah, we're just doing it for fun. And Phillip has like an idea of so many guests.
Oh, it's going to be so great.
It's going to be phenomenal. Anyways, Chance, 56, man. That's 56 episodes.
Like 56.
You didn't even think we'd make it to, I didn't think
we'd make it to 2. I think it's going to get canceled pretty fast.
Well, man, I appreciate it. See, Chance is still going to be the mothership here. This is going to be the place where we broadcast.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the idea. You could certainly do it at Henzo or anywhere else. He doesn't want it.
This is it, man. This is home until you make up a studio or something in your house, which
that's right. I'm gonna do. Of course I am. Of course, but I have plans within plans, and I like the
So what's the next big plan though for the school for Legends?
Well, the great thing is there's no major construction. I think that we have what we need. We started our new schedule last week.
How's that going?
It's wonderful. So what it is we have both mats going from 4 to 9 all night long.
Nice. So what's back here?
Okay, so all of the combat classes are back here. Okay, we have the warrior classes. We have we have a teen. We've really gotten a strong teen only class here.
Yeah.
But so the gray around the bottom panels and here on the doors, that was never meant to be permanent.
Okay.
Because I'd always planned on doing rougher stuff back here.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wall pad all of those doors on the bottom part.
Okay.
And this is a really good idea. Some of my ideas are really good.
Yeah.
Some of them are dog shit. Yeah. Some of my ideas are really good. But this one, you know how like in jiu-jitsu schools, they have the wall pads, right? Because you bump up against the wall. Right. Well, we spar and you bump up against the wall a lot.
Yeah.
You know? And our combat classes are going to be half stand-up fighting with weapons and half grappling. With a little bit of striking. Okay.
So like almost an MMA sort of.
Well, we have to
classify that. How would you classify the class then?
Okay, so we're calling them combat classes.
Combat.
Okay, so for 2 weeks, we're doing stand-up sparring, but the first round of stand-up sparring is also with a weapon. Okay. So you can kick and punch, but you'll have a weapon in your hand so that you understand the weapon range of sticks and blades.
Right.
Right? And then the rest of it is just regular sparring, kickboxing sparring.
You don't need to pick my teeth while we're doing this. Okay. That's fine. I got a toothpick here. Anyway.
And then on the 2 weeks that we're doing grappling, the first round of grappling, or maybe the last round of grappling, I haven't figured it out yet, is going to be with a little bit of striking with gloves.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I went down a jiu-jitsu rabbit hole last night. Ooh. And what this guy was talking, and I'm not sure I agree with Aiden because I don't think I'm smart enough to have an opinion.
Okay.
Phillip would know. But what he was talking about is that the way that jiu-jitsu started in this country when it came straight over from Brazil was more equipped for street self-defense than what it has evolved into. And here was his reasoning. And I don't know if he's right because I'm not smart enough to know if he's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Qualifier. I don't know if he's right.
He's a blue belt, by the way. Yeah, you can speak on it.
Well, what he said was in that first UFC, the first several UFCs they did with almost no rules and not really the highest level of fighters, jiu-jitsu was applied against other martial arts.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't applied against itself. Then jiu-jitsu evolved to beat other fighters.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it was better for self-defense. But what he said was over the last 30 years, jiu-jitsu has evolved to mainly beat jiu-jitsu. And what he said was, that's not how a street fighter will come at you.
I agree with that.
A street fighter is not going to come at you like a jiu-jitsu person.
Right.
They're going to come at you and blow their entire stamina tank in the first 30 seconds of fighting easily.
Yeah.
And he said, and that's not what's happening in jiu-jitsu tournaments. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're getting really good at beating other grapplers,
right?
But that they might have lost some of what they had in the beginning, which is how do you deal with this 300-pound person who's methed out and drunk coming at me like a freight train that they're not, especially also because of the weight categories. There's no weight categories on the street. And so it's gotten way better.
Right.
but it's gotten way better at something different than what it started as. So I don't know. What do you think?
Man, that's
It's an interesting point.
There's an interesting point because, when I sign up for jiu-jitsu, I expect jiu-jitsu. Like, you and I are fighting jiu-jitsu. Like, I'm not expecting it.
One of us isn't hitting them.
Right. There's no striking at all. I get the point of, if you're on the streets and you have someone coked out, you're going to have to deal with, no matter the height, size, weight. Like, there are no weight class. It's absolute category.
And he's going to be trying to kill you in the first 30 seconds.
And so when I tell people, when I coach people, I tell them that cardio is very big, because you and I can go 7-minute rounds.
Yes.
Easily. And we're going to get winded in an hour, 2 hours. We're going to get, but if I'm able to have more stamina than that coked out dude or whoever, say 45 seconds, it's going to be so much easier to take that guy.
Right, you're absolutely right. But by the way, the guy that I was listening to on this the YouTube video, is a 2nd-degree black belt in Brazilian.
Okay,
so he knows. That's why I kind of listened to it. He has some, but he started as a Kali karate guy, and he's still a Kali karate guy.
And I have so much respect for people like that, man.
But what he did was he found jiu-jitsu in the 90s the way Phillip found jiu-jitsu, is that he was a black belt in these martial arts.
Yeah.
And a grappler got a hold of him and just dismantled him.
Right.
So he did that. But the thing is, what he did back in the 90s when he started.
Right.
And his point was, and I think Phillip would agree with this.
Okay.
Right. Is that the skills that you need to deal with somebody in a street fight are white to blue belt jiu-jitsu skills.
I would agree with that as well.
Not brown, purple, black, like running, guarding through the lapel and weaving, threading your foot around their leg and then spinning around at a 3. He's like, what has become very advanced jiu-jitsu,
Right.
is actually not as useful in a street fight as what got you to blue belt.
Right. What I love about, so yesterday at, by the way, the We Defy event, did you see the picture of that?
That's insane. 2 of my people came over there.
They did. So we had Jacob there.
Yeah.
And Wheeler, was there anybody else from? I don't know, but I posted a picture yesterday of the first Veterans Day, so the first We Defy event, and then Monday's We Defy event. Dude, it is grown. I want to say we had like 60 people.
Did you grapple Jacob?
I did. And I told him, I said, he's not a bad little grappler. And I told him, I said, dude, you did really well, because he just kept attacking the neck, and good for him, man. He took my back a couple of times. I mean, I don't want to say hate. I'm just not very good at no-gi jiu-jitsu, but so when Jacob in the middle of the choke, I was thinking, I need to get better at no-gi jiu-jitsu, because it's easy, because you and I do gi. So I was trying to go, like dig my hand up and try to get that collar. Well, there is no collar.
No.
I was trying to get there's nothing.
Phillip and Sunday made us take our gi tops off.
He told me, I was like, oh, thank God I missed that one there. That wrestling, dude. Speaking of, anyways, with veterans, guys, hey, listen, I have to tell, if you're a veteran listening, please do yourself a favor and start filing for VA disability. I'm telling you this because Don Graves just passed away, I think, at the age of 100. I think last year. Don Graves was the only survivor. He was a flamethrower in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So he was the only survivor from his unit. He was there at the top of the mountain, Iwo Jima, when they put the flag on.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke at my kid's school, and he asked me, he goes, "Are you receiving VA disability?" And I wasn't. I was like, "Man, no, I can walk. I have all my limbs." My mindset was, dude, I want to say that for the guys that really did. He goes, "No." He goes, "You signed a blank check for your country that your life, take my life. So you put your life on the line. You told the military, you went here, right? You went there. You did exactly what they told you." I said, "Yes." He goes, "You filed disability." So I'm just telling you now, if you're listening, file for VA disability. You're not taking it away from anyone else. The government has the money. If they've allotted the money for it, so just do it. Do yourself a favor and do it. Of course, I didn't realize how jacked up I was.
So it was funny because I saw a big argument on social media the other day, which sounded sharper. No, of course, I love Stark. Dude, I'm not an instinct. I know you are. Guys, you guys are so smart. Well, I am a drama slim. You guys are so easy to stir. I know. Go, guys, get there. So, it was a military thing. It was all based on Memorial Day.
Okay.
And so somebody made a real snarky, and it was horrible. Like the post was horrible, right? It was so bad that to me, I'm not even you're the last person. It's that bad.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I'm not even going to allude to the content of it. Like it was that bad.
Okay.
Right. And of course, somebody piped up and said, like, that is horribly disrespectful and in very poor taste, blah, 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 blah. And this guy chimed in afterwards and he said, I fought for your right to post that.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I fought. And then this other guy came afterwards, and this was, again, it was so predictable watching it.
Right.
And so the next guy said, no, you didn't. You fought to make greedy politicians and corporations more oil money and blah, 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 blah.
All right, that's a typical argument.
Right. It's very predictable.
Yes.
And then the next guy, and it wasn't somebody who had commented before, said something so profound. He said, that doesn't matter because I did it for that reason.
Right.
What the powers that be used my decision for, right, was not up to me. I signed up to offer my life for the good of what this country stands for.
Absolutely.
If I was manipulated by somebody,
right,
because the thing is the way the war machine works, and the only way the war machine works is by the command structure and following orders.
Right.
Well, the structure itself protects somebody at the top doing something that they're not sharing with people underneath it. Right. And he said, so your argument is invalid because my heart was doing exactly what this guy just said. I was giving my life for the principles of a country where you can say whatever you want and no one's going to put you in jail. No one's going to execute you. Like no one's going to do that. And I think that people forget something, Jenny, is that freedom is messy.
It is absolutely.
It's very messy. Like, do you know what stops people from saying anything unpleasant? The empire in Star Wars, like complete control, will stop that. If you don't want absolute totalitarianism,
right,
then you're going to deal with the mess of freedom.
So I've been thinking, giving this some thought the last couple of weeks. I don't know what triggered me to go down this rabbit hole. Of course, the media, we all know. If you're listening, dude, you're being played by the media all the time. The media is only going to tell you what the media wants to tell you. And listen, man. So I was looking up the things that Alex Jones. He can be an absolute nut, but the stuff that he says is the exact reason why people fought for this country. Like, okay, you can say some stupid stuff, man. I get it, but do we really need to start suing and attacking? You know what I'm saying? Like you say something about my mom. Mama, I love you, by the way. You say something about my mom, and I go, you know what? I want to sue Legends because you hurt my feelings about my mom. I think there's a very thin line, man. We're being controlled and saying what we get to say. There is a bigger world order without a doubt. The elites of the elites who want to see, of course, America fall. They want to see the West fall. But they're also protecting their own.
Or do they?
I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. You don't know. I think that they want to see America fall if it's in their best interest.
So too.
But if their interests align with it not falling, then they don't want it to fall.
See, I firmly in the camp. You guys call me a nut job if you want. I mean, you got out job. I don't care what you guys say, honestly. But the CIA, man, I am a firm believer CIA plays so many.
You know, so I used to what's the guy's name? Everyday Spy, the guy with the big afro hair. Oh,
No, I may have seen him on some really
pretty popular.
Okay.
Podcaster.
Okay.
He worked for the CIA, and now
What has he said about it?
oh yeah, all this.
Dude, because look at how many people we pull. Like, I think in Romania, like, didn't they pull the guy out from the elections, like the big UN or whatever? Dude, there's so many. But you're so in your bubble. You're so in your zip code, 76053. Like, you're not seeing past.
What he said was like the big uproar about, you know, Russia meddled in the 2016 election. He goes, if you think this is the first election that they meddled in,
Right.
This is the first one they got caught.
Right.
Dude, and he said, the thing is, we're meddling in theirs.
Metal. We know all the time. But we don't want to see that. They just want to talk about, oh, you know, Barry, dude, don't. So I'm a Jesus freak, man. I'm a big Jesus freak. And there's a spiritual warfare going on. And I try to tell, it's so easy to see it happening too. And I get so frustrated when the race fights start to happen. I get frustrated when I see this. I'm like, dude, that's, again, I think it is all being manipulated by some bigger power, some bigger money to just divide and just take over.
People that
is powered money.
people that are desperate to feed their families are not going to pay attention to what's going on around them.
I know.
And people that are fighting with each other are not going to pay attention to what's going on around them.
Right.
And those people are far easier to control.
I think if I was at a conversation with Pierce last night, he was talking about, everything that's wrong with the world, everything that's wrong with the world. And his comment was that, like, I know that I can make a difference. And I know what he meant was on a grand scale that affects hundreds of thousands of people. Right. That's what he meant. He didn't mean he can't make a difference, sure. But my point is that the only way it happens on a grand scale is if it happens on a one-to-one scale. Right.
And it's like that story of the starfish. Did I ever tell you?
Yes. Yeah.
Where he has roads and back. He's like, you couldn't possibly make a difference. I made a difference to that one.
100%.
And when, there's the Million Man March, like the Rainbow Coalition, like these things made a difference.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because of Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
It was because of all of the people, the individuals caught up in that. Right. He by himself could have done nothing. Right. It was the masses.
Right.
And when you get the masses of people turned away from fighting with each other and focused on loving each other,
right,
dude, miraculous things happen.
Well, dude, it's like the Roman Empire. That's what I try to tell. I tell Miriam. It was funny because I think it was like last year, maybe 2 years ago. There was this thing going on in the socials, like, hey, ask your husband or ask your boyfriend about the Roman Empire and see what their take is. And so Miriam said, hey, what do you think about the Roman Empire? I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, about their power. I'm like, the elitists had power. I'm like, the people had power if they thought about it. Kind of like that movie with the Bugs Life.
Bugs Life.
Like, remember with the ants and stuff? I'm like, hey, if we all just join together, we can beat these stupid grasshoppers.
Right.
The same thing. Like, if you watch Gladiator, I think for me, which was eye-opening in that movie was when the young dude coming back, forget his name now. Anyway, after he killed his dad and he's coming into Rome, but then he holds the games in the Colosseum. Because now...
Communists.
Yeah, so now all the people are focused on saber. Same thing we do in this country today when it comes to big sports, when it comes to the basketball, the football. If every single person from those stadiums started to focus on politics or what's going on in the world, dude, we could easily stand up and make a change. Like I said, the Million Man March, the Rainbow Coalition, whatever. Just People stood up.
Well, and, you know, I forget the philosopher that said that religion is the opiate for the masses. And I think that that's true when they miss the point of religion.
Yeah.
When they get into the dogma of it, then it very much becomes a Republican Democrat argument of, you know, Christians versus the Jews versus the Muslims versus the Buddhists versus the Hindu, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which really was never the point of any of them. It was about a code for living and how we treat each other, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it's so funny when the Pharisees tried to trick Jesus,
Yeah.
and said, you know, which is the greatest commandment? Right?
Lord, your God with all your heart and love your neighbor
Like yourself. The greatest of these is love.
Yeah.
And that seems to have gone over the head of so many people.
Right.
That's the point.
I tell people that it wasn't the sinners who crucified.
No, exactly.
It was the religion.
And they followed the law.
Well, so they, yeah.
Well, the thing is they followed the law, but not the heart of it,
Correct.
the letter of it.
Right. Remember, the religious people are the ones who put Jesus on the cross, not the sinner.
Did you see Pretty Woman? I don't think it's been a while. I don't think you got out of seeing Pretty Woman.
And that I've seen it's been a while. Then you've had that official watch. Yeah.
So Edward Lewis, the guy that she falls in love with, the business guy, Richard Gere.
Yeah.
Right. And so he bought and sold and dismantled legacy family companies, ruined the generational wealth of people that had built it over generations.
Yeah.
It's legal.
Yeah.
It was not breaking the law in anything.
Right.
And so when you think about that way, following the letter of the law, but not the spirit of it,
Right.
is missing the point of religion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Man, speaking of that, man, you have to give me some help here trying to raise an adult child who is still living in the home. I don't want to say having issues raising an 18-year-old, you know, but
that's bothering me.
what? So I'm trying to give her the space that, like, you want to be an adult, you have to do adult things.
Right.
So, for instance, you have to go and set yourself up the doctor appointment. You're an adult. Can't do it anymore. I will guide you. Oh, you miss an appointment. There is a no-show fee. You got to pay a no-show fee. So going through all this, man, I tell you what, man, I thought the toddler years were tough.
Yeah.
I think, like, if somebody asked me right now, like, what season is tough, I'm going to say all of them. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Like, toddler phase, elementary phase, the middle school, the high school, baby.
Well, and that's the thing that probably was a big struggle for me is that you actually aren't parenting anybody over the age of 18. You have a guide, because that's what it's mentorship, very much like Phillip mentors us in jiu-jitsu, and the co-bars mentor me in running a school. You know, my sponsor mentors me in recovery.
Right.
You know, the difference between parenting and mentoring is the power in mentoring lies with the mentee, not the mentor.
That's true.
Okay, very true. When you parent a child, you are in control. Right. Now, that doesn't mean you can, remote control their behavior, as you well figured out, right? But you still are holding all the cards, right? With your adult child, you can only help them as much as they will allow you.
Right, that's a good point.
And the other thing that you have to do is you have to be willing to treat them like a tenant and not a child.
Yeah, that's what, it's easier for me to do that. I mean, this is a lot easier, but anyway, it's a fun time. She's working over there at Papacito's, waiting tables. She loves it. Keeps her busy.
And she's still assistant teaching, right?
Yeah, so she had 2 weeks to where she could do nothing. She just trained over there just to get her whatever level or something she told me it was. Like, you'll love this, though. She So she can't prepare the drinks, alcoholic drinks. Right. She's 18. But she can serve them. So she does, like someone says, hey, how does this taste? She goes, I don't know. So she said, Dad, she goes, I learned that you don't put a straw in beer. It's like, oh, yeah, what's the break? Really, huh? She goes, so, or ice, or the ice. She hasn't done the ice one. I'm waiting for that one to come up. But because at the bar, they put all those small straws in for the drinks, and she brings them. So she just grabbed one, put it in the beer. She got Dad, it just kept floating to the top, to tell him, like, you don't say. Tell me more. She goes, so I brought this beer to this guy, and he goes, he said, for future reference, you don't need to put a straw in the beer. She goes, okay, I was wondering. She goes, thank you for telling me. It's so funny, like the things that she's learning, like, I never would have tried to tell my, right? Like, hey, don't put a straw. Don't put a straw in the beer. I very rarely drink if I have anything, but it's good times, man, with learning and teaching that. But speaking of ice and beer, go ahead. I remember it's probably been 20 years since I set foot in a Hooters. Okay. It very quickly became something that I couldn't wrap my brain around. Which part? First, the fact that it was a family establishment. Yeah, I've always questioned that one. I've always people bring their kids into the weddings, and the thing is the objectification and you know what I mean. And the leering and other. In other words, it's like a diet strip club. Yeah, that you take your kids to, and I like 20 years ago, I couldn't wrap my brain around the fact that why, as a culture, we allow that. Yeah, but I remember that they would bring you a pitcher of beer, and they would put ice in plastic bags and put it in the pitcher of beer to keep the beer cold without the ice, though, because you don't want to put ice in beer. Right. And then I saw on Facebook not long ago that they went out of business. They went bankrupt. Shocking. And that made me happy. It made me happy. So I try to, I get what you're saying. I tried because, I struggled. First time I saw anything pornographic was, I was a kid. Sure. My dad had stuff. Discovering it way too early. And I think there needs to be obviously an age that, you got to protect, dude. We got to protect we do. And we protect the kids. Yeah. Protect the kids. How big shoe? To protect. So Nikki and I were at the gym the other day with Claire, actually. Okay. And so we were sitting there and we were watching somebody work out. And, obviously it's a gym. So like there are people in skimpy outfits and they have the camera on and One of the trending things now are these little cocktail dress looking gym outfits where they have shorts on underneath it, but it's a little skirt. How do you like it? How do you like it? It's like shorts on me. It's something simple. So the thing is that, seeing that was nothing out of the ordinary. Right. And I always bitch to Nikki every time I see it. I was like, it's ridiculous. One of my favorite things about Nikki, we go to the gym and she dresses like a normal human being. Yeah. Not an influencer. Okay. Yeah. But then
influence the influencers.
Yes, good. But then, look, this person that was dressed like that walked really close to where we were standing. Yeah. She had to be 11 or 12 years old. No.
I would have said 8.
No.
She was very, very.
And so the thing is that I get on a soapbox about this. Do it, man. Get a soapbox over here. And I'm telling you that no one is disagreeing that when you find out that somebody got like Chris Hansen, burn him, you know what I mean? And I don't disagree, like absolutely crucify. Yeah. That is a horrible, horrible thing. It is predatory and it's terrible and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But if we really believe that, for God's sake, stop feeding it as a culture.
Nikki, you might know.
Like the pageant concept.
Yes, I was going to say that like the pageant.
It's not just there. It's like, allowing your 12, 13-year-old girl
Right.
to bear like she's at Hooters.
Right.
But then what we're going to do is that we're literally, as a culture, I don't think one person is to blame, but as a culture, we're doing this. Oh, Jimmy, don't look at it. Jimmy, don't look at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that your average, intelligent, morally secure person is immune to that.
Yeah.
But I think you're more stupid, emotionally unintelligent people that can't see the cognitive dissonance of that.
Right.
Are falling into that trap. And I think as a society and as a species, we're responsible,
Right.
here, for how that is. In other words, stop sexualizing the entire culture.
So I 100% agree that the thing that kind of gets me when people want to argue, let us bring up the border crisis, right? So like, oh no, secure border, you should have open border, secure border, whatever. I think peel all that crap back in your feelings about any politician, and let's look at the sheer number of over 300,000 kids are like, where are the United States of America?
Like wherever you feel on immigration,
Right.
It has made trafficking so facile.
Exactly. So we're missing 300,000 kids. And I did, it's mind blowing to me that people want to, again, we're the largest consumption.
I know.
The United States of America is the largest consumption of human trafficking.
I know. And
kids, especially
the board. Okay. So, one of the things you'll hear cartel people talk about is if you'll handle the market, we won't have a product.
right.
Like, I know you're blaming us, but if your people would stop demanding this from us,
Right.
right? Yeah. So they're not wrong that if people want it, they'll find a way to get it.
Right.
And that what it draws me back to is that hypersexualization as a culture.
Right.
The reason we're the number one, consumer of human trafficking is as a society, we have slapped a sexual label on everything.
Yes.
On everything that is not like we talked about the law.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about following the law. Nikki has showed me stuff that's on TikTok and stuff like that,
yeah.
where these very clearly underage girls are provocatively dressed, dancing around. Now, they're not showing by the law anything.
Right.
But the spirit of it is completely not okay.
Their parents are
As their parents are basically worn out. It's horrible.
It's horrible. Miriam has asked me this before. So I don't know if it's just I'm so immune to it or if I just block it out. Kind of like, say, ads. If you're on like a CNN ad or whatever, I scroll through, it doesn't phase. But of course, Talon, 14. Talon was like, hey, Dad, do you know there's some single Latinas in the area that are looking for you? I was like, really? They're looking for me? He was like, there was this ad that popped up. And so as we were driving down 820, there was a billboard, and I have no idea what they were selling, but I saw the female. I saw her in bikini or whatever. She saw it. I kept driving, and so Miriam said, she goes, how does that make you feel? She goes, I know I'm asking you speak for all guys, but how does that make you feel as a guy that they think that you're so simple or so dumb that they're using sex to sell?
Because as a gender, we are
100%. And that's what I told her. I'm like,
Jim, I was caught in that.
Yeah.
For decades in my life, I was caught in the shiny object thing Yeah, and like people get caught in the consumerism of the new car and the new house and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was caught in the, you know, the fuzzy, lumpy bunny concept where new, shiny, that, my God, there's a 9 Inch Nails song about it. You know what I mean? Nothing quite like the feel of someone new.
Yeah.
And we're driven to want that. And you have to have a lot of awareness spiritually to break. And it is difficult to break out of that and go, wait a second, do I want that? Right. Or am I taught to want that? And this is where I agree with a lot of my friends on the left about capitalism and all this kind of stuff. It is a churning machine designed to keep us locked in it.
No doubt. No doubt.
You know? 100%. Now, here's the problem. I don't have a solution. Because what I've noticed about, ideally, a monarchy would work if everybody was a good person.
Yeah.
Communism would work if everyone was a good person. Socialism would work if everybody was a good person. And capitalism would work if everybody was a good person. But each of these different models, whether it's a totalitarian, I think it's a little easier with that one.
Yeah.
But even communism and socialism, they just create a different way to exploit the masses. And I think that the selling point, if you will, of capitalism is that they can't exploit it like socialism and they can't exploit it like communism. They can't, or can they? Because we are being tricked out of this. And the thing is Jimmy, like the difficulty to Dave Ramsey yourself out of that and go, I don't actually need that.
Yeah.
I don't need to spend the money on that.
Right.
Is hard to do.
It is hard to do because we have implemented this so that, and especially this is what I try to warn Journey into the media, social media, and even media. Like, hey, come get this brand new car. Get this. So like, no, you don't need it.
While you guys are talking, I got an email from Home Depot.
Oh, good.
40% off appliances. And the first thought in my mind was,
What do I need?
What do I need, right?
I need an appliance. I could put it on a credit card.
Roxy.
No.
Yes,
Exactly.
Exactly. And so, it all goes into psychology.
40% off.
Yeah. No, lose money on it.
And exactly. But that's
That's a good advice.
exactly right. See, but that's the thing.
It's all part of the same thing.
Right.
And so my friend Brian and I had this, and it was his concept, right? But I've really started me into it pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So he is studying psychology in college.
Okay.
Right. He's a very dear friend of mine. And he talked about Jacques Lacan and they talked about the lack. The lack. Okay. Okay. So in the garden, and this is me putting my own thing. In the garden, we weren't missing anything. Correct. We had everything.
Correct.
It was perfectly complete until a serpent convinced us that something was missing. And if we did that,
Right.
we would then be complete. The bullshit lie is that we were already complete.
Right.
And that has followed us.
Oh, 100%.
And what he said is the infant doesn't have lack because it shits when it wants.
Yep.
It feeds when it wants.
Yep.
It cries when it hurts. And that it can do any of that at any time. And there are no needs in the garden.
Yeah.
Everything is taken, as long as it's taken care of, everything is taken care of. the lack doesn't happen until language is established. And then when language is established, then the rules are established. Don't shit here. Don't cry right now. You can't have that yet. Don't, you know what I mean? And so this cognitive dissonance occurs between what's going on with us and this thought that something outside of us will make us whole and complete it. Here's a problem, Jenny. Doesn't work. Right. New girlfriend doesn't work. The new car doesn't work. Yeah. A new shiny thing doesn't work. A new Big Mac doesn't work. A new house doesn't work. But we are fed that it will.
Oh, 100%.
Because we're shown happy people that are enjoying the thing we don't have.
Well, I was talking to a bud this week, and I told him, it kind of ruffled his feathers a little bit. I said, you know who the king of this earth is, right? Or the master.
Yeah.
He was like, well, God. I'm like, well, he's like, nah. I said,
go back and read.
I said, yeah. I mean, that's the answer. I mean, he's got created the earth and stuff. But this earth, I said, dude, Satan is the king of this world. He was like, well, I don't agree. I'm like, okay, so I said, go back and just read when Jesus was in the wilderness. When Jesus was in the wilderness, he was tempted by who?
Right.
If you bow down to me, I will give you this kingdom. Why would he say that if he didn't have the power to give these kingdoms to Jesus, right?
And the thing is,
Even till the final fight,
even if he could, and let's assume that he could have, the lie is that it will work.
100%.
Is that if I did get the kingdoms, and if I did get this, and if I did get that, then it would fill the lack in me.
100%.
You know? And so
speaking of lack, I got a bone to pick with Nikki and Chance here. It's not really your guys' fault though. So we're getting a website. So a guy from Jiu-Jitsu hooked us up with the website for Legends, Dragons, and like us. And so we're going to link, of course, I told Chance earlier, the school's page, Enzo's page, and if somebody wants to buy rash guard or whatever, right? Everyone. So Peter was like, so he told me, he said, I told him, I said, so what I do, I've been entering our podcast into Gemini AI, and it spits out like the description of the podcast, and I use it to an order. He goes, oh, is that why Chance's last name is misspelled? And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. And I had to go back up, yeah. AI had been misspelling your day, and I hadn't gone back to check Burleson. So Burleson.
Was it Burleson?
How do they spell it? Like Burlel. Yeah. So
That's the correct one.
Burleson. Burleson.
Yeah, that's how it was. That's how
You spelled it Burleson.
Yeah, Burleson. No, it's
Burlinson. Burleson.
Was that 569er?
Is that his last name?
Some people say it. Some people do.
Do you guys correct him?
Well, Mr. Burson.
Mr. Burson.
Yeah.
That's really. I think the best. I think the best one was a kid that couldn't figure out which one I was, so she called me Mr. Masterson.
Mr. I like that, Mr. Master.
Actually, it's the only time that I heard Master that it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Is that when she said Mr. Masterson? Because it was so cute.
Do you think the title Master?
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Didn't we like end slavery and stuff? So yeah, people would have to.
It feels very, very Grand Wizard feel to me. What? But I mean, it's the system I inherited, and I've made lots of changes.
Yeah.
But my people really like that.
Yeah.
First of all, the people I promoted to master, they love it.
Really?
Oh yeah. The ones
Master Nikki.
Well, because they earned it.
I'm not.
Yeah. Well, basically, you don't get fifth in.
Huh?
Don't get fifth.
Don't get fifth.
Because if
Don't say I'm not now.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I would probably have to be like 60 something to 70 years old.
Do you think 30 years you'll get your fifth degree? What are you right now? Your second degree, right?
Well, first.
No, well, you won't be 60. Well, she'll be 60.
Boss. Dude, I'm not.
This is your sister. Are you asking me math?
Do your own math. I don't want to do it.
2025 plus 2, which I really think it should be 3.
Then wait 3.
It should be 3, honestly.
Okay.
I think it should be the number of years that you're going for is how many years.
I always thought that too, but this is what.
Yeah.
But I thought it was like in between, like, let me see, so I'll be eligible. So I was eligible, I think, for my second stripe.
3 plus 4 plus 5 years. That's
That's 12.
12 years plus 4.
That's the number of years it is at the COFAR system, and that's how long I'd wait.
Because that is what I'm.
How old are you now?
How what?
How old are you now? You're like,
40.
oh, sure, you just hit pull. I just turned 40. For nothing. So 15, you me like, what say you're happy about?
Yeah.
Hey, do me a favor. Next time you're at the gym, make him be an influencer. You should make him sit short.
Dude, I was wearing a teabag. Do you ever see Borat? Remember that lime green thing that lime green's out? Yes, and I'm gonna get out and do clean that.
I'm surprised some of the old men there don't wear more provocative clothes.
But why? Well, I can tell you, to quote Tom Segura, but not exactly. There are 2 kinds of people. Oh, okay. Old people and people who care about being seen naked in the locker room. And yeah, they'll just like, yeah, so I was going there, Jim, and I'm like,
They will, yes, that is fire.
yeah, that's right. Like, I'm like, oh, hey, there, buddy. You see what's going on? Yeah, you're definitely peacocking there. I don't know if, I don't know if you got the metrics that I'm looking at, but
The Kaylee spa.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
And the little old man walks up and booped him.
yeah, yeah. It's just, I was so shocked, I didn't know what to do. I'm walking out of the locker room, and he goes, boop. It's a true story. And I left the whole establishment. I was just like, what happened? Like, is this what it's like being a girl? I just got I had to know. But do you just, like, what are the rules? Do I fight? I don't fight. And I'm like, but he just like, and he was super pleased with himself too. He goes, boop. Yeah. And he looked like a little leprechaun. He looked like a little Asian leprechaun. Okay. He was 5'1" at most, right? And, just as hairless as a babe, just kind of sitting there doing this in the steam room. And very happy to be there. He's a happy boy. Yeah. And I immediately got in the car and I called like 3 people. I'm like, yeah, I have no idea. I got just up. I did. Just boop, just like that. Yeah.
Guys, on that note, this is Chance's last one for a while.
Yep.
So if you see Chance, go ahead and boop.
No! I'm not boopable.
Boop the guy.
Hi, guys.
Thanks.